So the first company showcase we have coming up is Leucadia Therapeutics. So please give a very warm welcome to Douglas Ethell, the founder and CEO of Leucadia Therapeutics.
Okay, we work on a fundamental mechanism of brain health called the glymphatic system. In the last 5 years, it's become clear that problems with the glymphatic system are linked with almost every neurological and psychiatric disorder, including Alzheimer's disease. So our company's developed Arethusta, thanks guys, Arethusta, which is a tiny glymphatic modulator that goes in the nose in a 10-minute outpatient procedure. It just sort of sits under the brain and does its job. Okay, we have a clinical trial. Our first clinical trial in California is going to start in June, and let me tell you a little bit about it. But first, Alzheimer's disease. Some people quite don't get that the plaques and tangles, the pathology of Alzheimer's disease, doesn't suddenly appear all over the brain. It starts in one specific area, shown here in, that doesn't show up, there it is. Shown here in orange. It's called the medial temporal lobe. It's sort of in the middle, right between the temples. What happens is it takes about 5-10 years for the pathology to get going and turn into a self-perpetuating pathology that spreads to the limbic system and eventually consumes the entire cerebrum. It's like a campfire that turns into a California wildfire. Okay, and the question's always been, why does the pathology start there? Because it only happens in humans, and it always starts there. So that's been the trillion-dollar question for a long time. And it has to do with the glymphatic system. So glymph starts as cerebrospinal fluid. The brain makes about half a liter of that a day. And what that does is wash in between the cells and clears away debris and dead cells and fragments and whatnot. So it starts in the middle here, and then it percolates outward, picking up these things, carries it to the outside surface of the brain, and then it gets removed, depending on where it is, what neighborhood. We're interested in the bottom here. So the red on the bottom right is where Alzheimer's disease begins. So the glymph that's coming out of that area, loaded with metabolites, potentially toxic metabolites, it follows the olfactory system, the yellow arrows there, to right here, right between your eyes, and then it leaves the brain. Okay? So that area, if we look at the skull, from the top of the skull, there are two little pockets here shown in blue, and they look like this. And those holes accommodate odor receptors carrying what you smell up to the brain. And around those odor receptors are little channels where the glymph leaves the brain. Okay? The thing is, that changes with age because these are part of the bones of the face. And we did a study with 600 volunteers, and here we're comparing people under 55 and over 65. This is hundreds of people. And you can see the probability of getting apertures significantly declines with age. And this correlates with a loss of sense of smell, which is very important in early Alzheimer's disease as well. So what's really happening is these apertures are closing up and disappearing, and the fluid can't get out. So it's almost like a plumbing problem. Okay, we think that's what causes Alzheimer's, and what we did was a study to show that with ferrets. So what we did was we took some ferrets, we occluded the cribriform plate, and we found out that over a 6-month period, the occluded ferrets, they're the top line here, they couldn't learn the maze. But the blue line, the control ferrets, they were able to solve the maze faster and faster over a 6-month period. And also, when we pulled the brains out after 6 months, we saw a 40% reduction of that orange area where Alzheimer's begins in ferrets. Now, I should mention that ferrets never get Alzheimer's disease. So our solution is Arethusta here on the right. So there's a little inlet here that goes through the cribriform plate, so it just sits under the brain. And then there's a pressure regulator that goes down here. And the fluid just comes out. It's a very slow little drip, drip, and it's all inside the body. It's not dripping out your nose. It's inside the tissue. And so that's our device label, and we have a very strong patent for any neurological and psychiatric disorder. So here's the milestones we've accomplished, and now we're up here to the right. We've had a few conversations with the FDA. We're ready to go into clinical trials. We have our ducks in a row, and the first thing we're going to go for is Alzheimer's disease. But the advantage of this is, since it's a basic brain health mechanism, we have multiple shots on goal. Because of the anatomy, we think increasing the drainage of this fluid will be beneficial for other neurological disorders as well, including frontotemporal dementia, that's what Bruce Willis has, perhaps long COVID, because that involves a loss of sense of smell and enormous inflammation in that exact place inside the nasal cavity at the beginning. And so long COVID people, they might become Alzheimer's patients in the next few years. Down syndrome and stroke recovery, and there are perhaps some other things as well. So we have multiple shots on goal, but Alzheimer's is our first thing we're going for. This is our, we don't really have time to go through our regulatory path, but here at the conference is myself. I'm a neuroscientist. I've been working on Alzheimer's disease for 25 years. Joining me at the conference is Dr. Javed Siddiqui. He's here. He's a neurosurgeon with more than 30 years of experience in the field and a skull-based specialist. And Ed Shattuck is our chief financial officer. He's a former hedge fund guy, and he's retired in Nantucket. And that's that. So what we're doing right now is we're raising a $5 million Series A just to do the 15-patient pilot study in California. So what we'll do after that is basically to prove that it's safe and effective to put in. So the efficacy is really for the Series B. So probably around the end of the year, we'll start to raise the Series B round where we're going to have multiple sites to study the efficacy, and we'll have to do probably 150 people altogether. And it'll also allow us to become basically the big dog in the glymphatics field because we'll have the first marketable product out there.